Welcome to this presentation brought to you by Constructum Online Learning for Entrepreneurs. Securing alternative energy supply is fast becoming a business imperative. As a business owner, you are faced with the challenge of understanding new ways of accessing reliable and cost-effective sources of energy, not just to save on energy costs, but also to reduce your dependence on ESKOM. Entrepreneurs face difficult decisions. Do you invest in renewable energy for your business? How will you raise capital for this? What do financiers consider when you approach them for finance? What alternative funding options are available to you? Financiers are slowly catching up. The prospects of extending a loan for renewable energy is very different from other types of financing. Financiers are used to finance different types of assets. Take commercial vehicles as an example. Financiers have lots of historic data available to them about the value of used vehicles, warranties and service plans on offer. Financiers are familiar with this type of asset. Why is this important? The asset represents collateral for the loan. If the lender defaults on the loan, the financier wants to be in a position to recover some of the capital by repossessing and liquidating the asset. Renewable energy is a whole new ballgame. Financiers are only now starting to understand the risks associated with renewable energy assets. Larger commercial energy consumers may consider a power purchase agreement as an option. A renewable energy provider enters into an agreement with a business to provide electricity on a pay-for-use basis, but requires a long-term commitment from the energy consumer. Agreement terms may vary from 10 to 20 years. The renewable energy provider must invest a substantial amount of capital to construct and maintain a solar energy facility. The renewable energy provider depends on funding from large, mostly institutional investors. In a sense, the renewable energy provider funds the project on behalf of the commercial energy consumer. This option is very appealing to larger electricity users, as no upfront capital outlay is required. The success of the project depends on selecting a reliable renewable energy provider. This option is not available for smaller businesses that consume less energy. Smaller businesses are less inclined to commit to a 10 or 20-year power purchase agreement term. Renewable energy providers will consider the long-term financial viability of prospective commercial consumers before committing large sums of capital to the project. What alternatives are available to smaller businesses? A bank loan may be considered. The business purchase the renewable energy equipment and pay for its installation from money it raises by way of a bank loan. The business will own the equipment. Your financial manager or accountant will be able to give you more information about the tax write-offs on such assets, which may include the finance charges and depreciation on the asset. Loan terms may vary from short-term 3 to 12 months to medium-term 2 to 5 years and will typically carry finance costs at a rate of prime plus 4% or more per annum. This may not be a viable option because of the high interest rate over a short loan term. Let's look at an example. Joe has a bakery. Electricity costs amounts to 9,500 Rand per month. Joe wants to consider a solar energy installation with a cost of 500,000 Rand, which the provider says will result in Joe's bakery becoming completely independent of ESKOM for energy. Financiers agreed to a bank loan with the following conditions: a 20% deposit, a loan term of 4 years, at an interest rate of prime plus 4% per annum, 500,000 Rand minus 100,000 Rand deposit equals 400,000 Rand to be financed over 4 years. The monthly repayment amounts to 11,035 Rand. Is this viable? Joe's Bakery is already struggling to manage cash flow. Increasing monthly cash flow commitments from 9,500 Rand, the current electricity costs, to over 11,000 Rand per month, the loan repayment, is a big ask. In addition, Joe has to find 100,000 Rand for a deposit. Joe may also ask, after 4 years, when I own the equipment, will I have to replace components, and at what costs? What alternatives are available to Joe? An operational lease may be considered. In this case, the financier purchases the solar equipment and owns the equipment to be installed at Joe's Bakery. No deposit is required, and after an initial term of 6 years, Joe has the option of purchasing the equipment at 20% of its initial value. The entire monthly lease repayment may be a tax write-off. Speak to your accountant or financial manager to confirm. 400,000 Rand is financed over 6 years at prime plus 4% per annum, resulting in a monthly lease repayment of 8,354 Rand. Is this a more viable option? From Joe's perspective, it certainly looks like a viable proposition. But wait, there is a problem. First, the financier has to assess Joe's Bakery to determine if the business is financially viable, as is the case for all types of financing propositions. Next, the financier must agree to purchase the solar equipment and wants to ensure that the equipment represents sufficient collateral value in the event of the lender defaulting on the loan. Here, the financier will first look at the equipment manufacturer and then at the local installer, who may also provide ongoing maintenance of the equipment. Financiers typically prefer Tier 1 equipment manufacturers with local representation. Much of the solar equipment sold locally are sourced from suppliers in Asia. How reliable is this equipment? What if the equipment fails altogether or simply fails to meet the performance expectations of the local users? What product guarantees are offered, and are these guarantees of any real value? Next, financiers will look at the local installer of the equipment. Is this an established business with a good track record? Can client references be obtained? What maintenance contracts or service level agreements are offered by the local installer, and at what costs? What if the lender stops paying? How do you repossess a solar equipment installation? What comfort can be given to financiers in the event of the lender defaulting on the loan? Some local installers equip the solar installation with a feature that allows for the system to be switched off in the event that the customer stops paying. Your application for solar finance must include a detailed quotation reflecting all the equipment components and installation costs, a service level agreement and its costs, a report that shows how much electricity the system will generate and compare this to the customer's current electricity usage and costs. As a customer, you are liable for the debt to the financier, even if the equipment and/or the provider fails to meet your expectations. In our business, we have successfully secured operational lease type of financing for renewable energy installations. Financiers typically consider applications on a case-by-case basis, which results in a longer, more drawn-out process. But it's doable. We have also managed to secure funding for businesses that operate from the premises of a landlord. So owning your own property is not an absolute condition for finance. The last funding option are available to businesses that own their own property. Capital may be raised using the property as collateral. This option may be the most affordable option as finance charges are lower and a lending term of up to 10 years may be negotiated. The benefit of this option is that the property represents the collateral for the loan and not the equipment. Consequently, financiers are less interested in the equipment manufacturer and/or provider. As lender, you are left to your own devices, which has its benefits and also risks. If you need help to assess the viability of renewable energy finance for your business, you are welcome to contact me directly at diondebrainconstructum@outlook.com. For more videos like this, please visit the Constructum online learning platform on YouTube. Good luck with your business.